Welcome back to Weebology. Thank you for coming to class, students. I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And we have a special kind of situation we got going on right now.
It is awkward.
I wouldn't say awkward. I'm going to keep riffing like we've always been. But we do have a live studio audience today.
Yes.
A member of the audience, one member only, our boy Eric, who is filming this for Instagram on his Instagram. And it's filming it for his Instagram on Twitter.
Yeah.
No. I don't know jack about social media. But
Me either. That's
I'm
why
not
we
a big
don't
social
have
media
one.
guy. Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's good to get the name out there, the people out there, knowing our faces and names. So I'll take it. I mean,
So what are we talking about today, there, Rick?
so would you agree that anime is wild? It's crazy, you know.
It's wild.
It's wild and crazy. It's a good ride, and a lot of times there's a lot of sweet action. There's a lot of hand-to-hand fights, but sometimes people bring weapons into the mix.
Sometimes it gets a little dirty.
You got to bring a knife to a knife fight. You got to bring a gun to a gunfight.
You gotta
or
bring
a,
a
knife.
lightsaber to a freaking fist fight.
Yeah,
you know?
gotta bring a wand to a magic fight. There are crazy weapons in the world of anime, and we want to just talk about some of our favorites. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Jawaan at my work, who gave the suggestion for this topic. And, you know, as soon as I heard it come out of his mouth, I'm like, oh, of course, that seems so obvious.
Shouts to Jawaan.
Shout out to Jawaan. You'll get the shout out.
He helped me through a lot of classes in college.
Did you really?
Yes.
Dude, multiple shout outs. See, that smells like kickback worthy, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That man deserves a little kickbacks, you know? So we're going to go through some of our favorite weapons. We'll break down, you know, some are guns. We didn't want to keep it all swords, all guns, all conventional. I got a couple weird one. I got one weird one in here that I really like, and it actually shows its face in two separate anime, but same style of
Interesting.
weapon. So I want to bring that up as well.
So are mechs included?
Mechs are in fact included. I would say that mechs are weapons.
Wow, because I did not include them.
Would you have if you known that?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, but I mean, so if we can give some honorable mentions, I got like one or two honorable mentions I don't want to go into, but I think they're just super sweet. They're super cool.
It's
You know,
super cool.
They're super cool. You want to pop one off first? I can give mine first.
Sure.
Let's see. Wait, I said.
Yeah, I
wait,
know.
hold on. Do you want to go first or should I? Sure. Okay. We're not
Yeah,
linguistics.
okay,
but...
so I'll go first. And I'll start off with a really sick weapon system.
Okay.
I think the 3D maneuver gear from Attack on Titan
Hell yeah,
is
dude.
the absolute bomb.com.
Okay. I have no quorums with this pick. I have no issue with this pick, but tell me what's your
No
take?
quorums
No-
or qualms.
I'm not a linguisti, dude. Don't call me out.
I'm trying to get you some linguistics.
linguisti. So no, I have no problems with it.
So
Let's go
qualms.
simple. Qualms. Yes. I have no quorum with
Sorry,
it.
I only called you out because Patbot will do it later.
No, yeah, Patbot is definitely our harshest reviewer. With love the kid. You know, we gave him a sass and feedback chip, but they're kind of playing on each other a little bit too much. It's a sass back chip. That's what I'm calling it. So
Yeah, so basically, so these systems, they allow like the people in the Attack on Titan universe to fly through the air
in any direction.
in any direction via like this like belt kind of situation that shoots hooks in like directions that you can choose.
Yeah, it's steampunk as fuck.
It's
like,
super chill.
It's steampunk as fuck. So I mean, it's also called Omnigear, or is that
Right.
Yeah. So it's basically the whole point is move in any direction as quickly as possible because the enemies that they're fighting are clearly Titans, who are slow but very powerful.
Like
so
at minimum 13 meters tall, I think is like the smallest one. So, you know, for a human that's like 2 meters tall, 3 meters tall, they got to get up 10 meters.
it's about Eric size over here.
Yeah,
He can barely fit on the couch.
That's not true. I have a big couch.
He does have a big couch. Yeah. So
Sorry, I'm just not going to let you defame me in front of everyone.
I'm not going to defame you with your tiny couch and calling Eric a big man. That's all I'm saying. Your couch is
Anyway.
massive, despite the fact.
So what I think's so cool about the weapon system in general is that they're able to use what they have to their advantage. So basically, as humanity, they have cities and towns and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Which are vertical. And they've built these vertical walls.
And that's the thing. They built that system of maneuvering as a reaction to the space they already have. What is optimal to the terrain around them already. So they didn't just think about the enemy. They thought about where they'd fight them as well.
Right, because if you notice, in a lot of the scenes where they're out in the plains,
Yes.
The Omni gear is completely useless.
It's trash. And they definitely thought about massive forests and stuff, but only the really top gun kind of maneuverable people, like the captains, are the ones that could probably still get around in an open field.
Right.
And it's when they're most exposed when you see the limitations of the 3D maneuvering gear.
But I think that's what is so cool about the weapon system to me is that, well, first of all, the better you are, the more longevity you'll get out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because like they show very clearly, like the more newbie people are using too much of the CO2 gas, that's how they basically are propelling themselves.
Yeah.
Like flying through the air, quote unquote, is through these little gas canisters. And then also, like the other part of the weapon system is like these two like sabers essentially with like replaceable blades.
That to me is my favorite part of the whole system.
Right, so it's got this like, it looks like kind of like a sword hilt, but it's got like a trigger that releases blades and will like accept new blades. Think like a box cutter.
Essentially,
and it even looks like it.
It's a glorified box cutter that has like, you have basically massive boxes of slotted blades that you can just, and the really the best ones can like switch in and out without even breaking stride at all. Kind of reminds me of Wise Man's grandchild did his vibrating sword. Didn't they have the same like the same detachable hilt, and they can replace blades because he vibrated his blades so heavy that at some point it's going to break, and he wanted to quickly change it out.
Exactly right.
So
exactly rice.
I love that. So rice, so thrice. So good. But yeah, totally agree, because it's not just an offensive and defensive capability, it's a maneuvering weapon as well.
Right.
Which is one of the
that's why I'm saying weapon system, because like the swords on their own, they're cool, but they're not like, they don't help you get to the Titan.
They really aren't game changing.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't do anything special per se.
Yeah.
But then what you find is like, you throw the whole package together, you can get up to the Titan, you can spin around them, you can do all this crazy shit, and you can slice those bastards.
Squash those bitches. But I think it's and when a whole squad of people have them, and when they're maneuvering around like that, it's essentially trying to swat a fly in your house times 20.
Right.
And they all have blades. Imagine that.
And
They're trying to take you down, and they all have blades wanting to kill you. It's not going to be easy. It's not easy, and it's a perfectly designed system for the challenges the humanity in that show had to face. So I wholeheartedly agree.
Sick.
Yeah. Word. And speaking
dude, lit.
So lit, dude. But sometimes you don't want to bring a knife to a certain type of fight. Like they say, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. And when it comes to guns, one of my favorite guns in any anime is not because of necessarily the power at its disposal, but its discretion. I'm talking about the Dominator from Psycho-Pass. I love this gun. And what it is, it's a crazy advanced gun that when you first, only the specific user that's basically like trying to unlock someone's iPhone, trying to unlock somebody's gun. That's essentially what it is. When you put your hand on it, oh, you're the person supposed to be firing me. Now you can fire me. But you can't.
So, just really, really fast.
You just cut me. You just cut me off?
I'm just going to speak for you really fast.
You're going to speak for me right now?
Don't you ever
fucking speak for me again.
Quick callback to Ready Player One. That is also in that show, or in that book, I mean. There's the ability for the gun to like biometrically like only recognize the owner.
Right.
Which I think is super sick.
I think it's not quite, and I'll tell you why. This is why I think it's interesting and why it's my favorite gun. Because not only is it the specific user can fire it, but it is doing the decision-making of when it can be fired. The whole point of the plot of Psycho-Pass is there is a criminal AI system that determines psychological factors of a certain person that they're trying to capture or apprehend, not of the crimes they have committed, but the crimes they could commit. They have the capacity to commit. And the Dominator is like the arms and legs of this system. So it will read the psychological data of the user and determine whether they are unstable or have the capacity to commit a violent crime. And then, depending on what they read, and it goes over a certain level, then it'll turn itself to certain lethality modes. Yeah. Going from basically a light taser to a literal vaporizer.
Yeah.
It will vaporize everything in its path. It
is the Dominator after all.
It's the Dominator at the end of the day. But why do I like it so much? Because I think in terms of...
it vaporizes punks.
It vaporizes everything. But that's the thing, right? If it always vaporized, then it'd be OP as shit, right?
Right.
But the thing about the gun itself is it's so plot intensive as a weapon because, for one, the entire ethical gray area of the gun deciding who can fire it, what it can fire upon, and to what degree it can neutralize its target fascinates me greatly. I love that. And taking the human element out of the entire process, the situational processing, outside of pulling the trigger itself, that is a question worth discussing. And that's the whole plot, is what if you couldn't decide to fire a gun at an intruder in your house?
Right.
Because they were not determined to be a real threat. That's a huge question. That's a big ethical question.
And what are they doing there, Rick? That's my question.
What
are
do
you
mean?
doing in my house?
What are you doing in my house? And why can't I shoot you? Because my gun thinks you're cool. My gun thinks you're trill.
He's
my
actually like, whoa, this dude's actually like,
dude, this guy's
ripped.
lit, dude. This guy's, did you see his puka shells? This guy's so dope. Like, imagine your gun, quit sassing and do it. No, dude, he's like, just wants to
dude,
come
you see
chill.
his frosted tips? This
Dude,
man's like lit.
He's got a 6-pack of Lanakugels, man. Let's get him in the
He
party.
actually just wants to party,
Let's
dude.
party, dude. So that's, and in terms of the plot itself, its design and power, it comes into play numerous times in the ways you'd probably imagine. You know, the original character of the one who can fire the gun is incapacitated by the enemy. The other person can't fire it. There is no way to help that person out.
Right.
It's not access denied. You can't fire this gun. Well, shit, the one who can is now on the floor bleeding out. So, whoops-a-doodle.
Oopsie.
Yeah, whoops, Tech Daddy. You didn't let me do the work I need to be doing. Sorry. So yeah, I think when it comes to weaponry and plot convergence, the Dominator is my favorite of probably any anime. I love it so much.
So speaking of guns, I've been recently rewatching Trigun, as I've mentioned previously.
Ooh, I really need to rewatch that.
So there's this character called Nicholas D. Wolfwood, who is a priest.
What a masculine name. Oh, and I'm gonna backpedal because you said priest. Okay.
Well, I'll be real with you. He's a priest, but he's a badass.
He's a badass priest.
He kills a lot of people.
He's got that Constantine vibe going on. Okay.
Absolutely a Constantine vibe.
Oh, word. Okay.
Like super Constantine vibe.
Take notes, Keanu.
So his like main weapon that he wields is a large cross-shaped gun named the Punisher.
That sounds rad as shit. When you say big, how big are we talking?
We're talking at least his height.
It's a gun?
Yes.
What?
So basically he carries this massive like metal cross with him everywhere he goes. But he's like a super organism or something, so it's really light to him.
So he's a super organism.
He's like some kind of like super secret top agent guy.
But is also a priest.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch this show. It sounds rad.
It's honestly bonkers. Remember Fully Cooley? It's like that kind of bonkers.
Ooh, that's a callback to episode last one.
It's episode last.
Episode last.
So essentially, this basically cross has different compartments within it that open up when he's willing or ready to fire them.
Okay.
So I'll give you a scene. Basically,
right.
He's at the bottom of this valley, right? And
Sounds
there's
epic.
a whole line of bad guys up at the top of the crest of the hill.
Back against the wall.
It's in the desert.
Oh, no.
There's sand.
Oh.
There's wind. It's
wind.
drifting.
The sun's
beautifully.
around somewhere.
The sun. Ow. You're hot.
Sun. Ow.
Sunburn. Ouchie.
Ouchies.
Better put on my sunscreen next time.
We have derailed so far.
Anyway, so they all are shooting at him. He plops down this massive metal cross in front of him that blocks some of the bullets, and then he opens up the the cross tie.
Okay.
That you would get. Yeah.
Where are you going with this?
No,
Crucified
nowhere.
upon?
Yeah. So he opens that, and there's just like 8 handguns sitting in there.
What?
And so he just grabs them and just goes ham-balam.
Ham-balam.
Right? So he's shooting like all these 8 guns.
Motown. Okay.
It weighs 100 or so kilograms.
Well, kilograms?
Yeah.
That's some daddy weight.
So the other weaponry.
That's some daddy weight right there.
The other weaponry is 2 machine guns in the front. So basically, like, if you wish it will shoot machine guns out of the front of the cross, which is sick. And then a rocket launcher in the back.
Oh my god.
So if you're counting at home, folks, this priest is carrying a massive cross with like 8 handguns, 2 machine guns, and a rocket launcher in it.
Wow, hold on. Did you just make our students math in this class? That's how dare you?
This is a class.
It is a class, but this ain't math. And if this ain't math, it's not that class.
If this ain't math, then you're a rat.
Then you're a rat. We're not linguistics. Cut us some fucking slack.
Yeah, we're not linguistics. So, yeah, I just think, like, in terms of a weapon system that is a gun, this is one of the most, like, original, like...
That's incredible.
Like, kind of concepts I think I've seen throughout anime. Just, like, the fact that there's this priest who's got this, like, obvious symbol of like, priesthood, right?
Right.
But, like, he uses it to basically do his punishment, or, like, you know, do 5 Hail Marys and take some bullets.
5 Hail Marys and eat this leg.
Yeah, if that's blasphemic, I apologize.
Yeah, but I mean...
But the show is, so...
It's pretty cool. I figured it's how it's going to be.
So that was cool. You got any ones?
Oh, yeah,
cool
yeah.
Ones?
So we're going to dive into... I'm going to say more bladed weapons. I mean, that's kind of my love. When it comes to anime, you're going to get some bladed weapons. Very, samurai swords and stuff like that, and sweet broadswords. But I think the show that is the king of bladed weapons has to be Bleach with the Zanpakuto. It really is probably the most iconic overarching weapon class in terms of bladed weapons in all of anime. I can't think of another show that does bladed weapons more iconically and more diversely. What are your thoughts on Zanpakuto as a whole? Are you a fan? It's got 3 stages.
No, I hate him.
You hate him? Yeah, you're just done?
Moving on.
Cool, next episode.
So I absolutely love the Zanpakuto.
Right.
I think it's cool that they're basically in like a personification of the Soul Reaper's fighting spirit or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you've actually hit the daily double here, Rick. So I've got a little quiz here.
Uh-oh.
To see if you recognize which, I guess, character or Zanpakuto goes with this Shikai release phrase.
Oh my god, I can barely say their names. I'm gonna say the character design, because I can recognize the animation of character design before I can read the name off the top of my head. But let's play the game. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So this is like one of the coolest parts I think of the Zanpakuto is basically for each layer of like awakening, you must call forth to it and like bring it out of its, like, you have to speak a command.
Knowing its name is how the first step of getting into your Shikai release.
So you have to release the Shikai and then the Bankai later.
Right.
But right now I'm just talking Shikais.
All right.
Okay. Sit upon the frozen heavens.
Oh, that's Toshiro?
Yes.
Yeah, Toshiro.
Hayorin Maru.
That kid's a Banff, man. He's like the youngest captain in the history of Soul Society, right?
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Reduce all creation to ash.
That is the general captain of the Goaty 13.
Yes, the head captain and
Yamamoto?
his blade, the Ryu Jinjaka.
He's Ryu Jinjaka. That man, his Bankai, and I'm not going to give it away, in the 1,000 Year Blood Arc is so good. It's so awesome.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite of the releases because, like, burn all things to ash is how he says it in the like English dub.
So good.
And it's like, for his character, it's so like,
oh yeah,
he means it.
He means it. And you look at his character design, he's covered in thousands of years of scars.
Yeah.
So badass.
Okay. There's one that's literally just kill him.
Kill them. It's Jeans.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's the one who uses slang, right?
Yes. How did you know this?
Because he's one of my favorite. I actually have his
Folks.
I know I have his Bankai on my list of my favorite blades. But
wow, really?
Yes, I love his Bankai release. I can talk about it since you brought it up. Yeah.
Shinzo is like his Shikai, and then the one I just said, kill him dead, is Kamashiri no Yari.
Kamashiri no Yari, and he can basically extend and retract his sword at nearly 500 times the speed of sound, and his real Bankai has not been revealed until when it needed to be, and that is that he can leave a little piece of his sword if he gets you inside of you, and then eat you from the inside out like a poison.
Right.
And but yeah, I know it was kill him because if you look at his subtitles, it's slang, it's N apostrophes, it's EM apostrophes everywhere. So
okay, how about scatter?
Oh, Zenbon Sakura.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Byakuya.
Byakuya Kimichi, or what is his last name? What's his surname? Or
Kuchiki.
Kuchi? There it is.
And here's my personal favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Raise your head. Wabiske.
Oh, the one, like the Executor's one that's like the shape of a J.
Yes.
That's badass. That, because everything it cuts, it gets twice as heavy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, Wabiske essentially means wretched one or lonely one. And so the actual manifestation of it is like this wretched creature with his head always down.
Yeah.
Basically, like, looking away from you.
What? He's part of the seventh team?
He's a lieutenant of the third squad.
The third squad. I know his symbol is a marigold because it's a very, like, sad kind of melancholy symbol, right? Let it be known that, our boy Eric's in the room. I didn't look at that phone once, and I nearly got 100%.
It's like unreal. I was like fairly certain he wasn't gonna remember these.
No, but
Ladies and gentlemen.
oh no, Eric's besmirching my name. Ethan will vouch.
How about Reap Kazeshini?
That is that's Hisegai Shushi, because
this is insane.
I love his, because he has one of the best Shikai releases in that entire show. He is fighting Findor, and that is Sakuga for days where it shouldn't be. Like, it's in the middle of like the Arankai first fighting like the lieutenants and the captains, and out of nowhere, the most beautiful animation for that fight. And that is another that was actually perfect segue into my unconventional bladed weapons, is that Reaper, that double-edged kind of like scythe on a chain.
Yeah, double sickle chain thing.
And you'll find that in one other show, and that's Black Star's weapon from Soul Eater.
Yes.
That is what I noticed. I'm like, because Hisagi is probably my favorite character in Bleach that's not main character. Seriously. Because my favorite line in that fight is when he was taught by who's the blind captain that split that Tozen. He learned that a man who does not fear the sword he's wielding does not deserve to wield a sword at all. And his favorite line is when he's literally kicking Findor's ass and he says, "Hey, you scared yet?" "Oh no, because I am." And I'm like, oh man, dude, this guy's bamf. I love him.
Yeah.
He's also got a 69 on his
cheek, which is pretty trill.
I think I want to say it's because of the combination of numbers in his name. Usually that's the reason why. That's why Ichigo's always wearing that 15 shirt. But
Ichi and Go is
Ichi
1-5.
and Go. There you go. So Hisagi, I don't know if that's, I'm counting in Japanese in my head.
You're not going to get there because it's not right.
I don't think so. Okay. But yeah, so if I ever wanted to have my own weapon and be proficient at one, it'd be that double scythe with the chain.
What?
I
that
love
thing is so
that.
dorky.
I know it's dorky as shit, but I love that. Who are you calling a dork, Mr. Professor of Weebology?
I'm just saying, Shinso is way cooler. The god-killing spear.
Oh, yeah.
From Gin. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's even called something sick.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Kamashiri no Yari.
But that's in my conventional blades. It's that, and Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi is
Bankai.
Literally, his Bankai is, I would honestly say, unstoppable. Like, only because Ichigo got that crazy speed buff, he was built to fight it.
Yeah.
But even in the Fullbring arc, which is a hit or miss arc, Mr. Bookmark himself knew about Tsukushima. Yeah, he knew about all of its weaknesses, but he only that was a weakness imposed by Byakuga himself. Like, he put it on himself to be protective of himself, so he wouldn't cut himself up, because it was so powerful that he didn't put any restrictions on it. He would have gotten sliced and diced every time he used it. So I love it. Like, literally, his Bankai is so powerful that he needed to. Oh, hold on. Everyone kind of back up, like a couple inches. Just back it up. So yeah, those two, Gins and I guess Kamashinichi no Yari.
Kamashiri no Yari. So I think, like, in terms of visually, I really enjoyed the head captain, because his sword is all hit, like, when it's completely released or unreleased, it's within a cane. So he's walking around with a wood cane all the time, but then when it's time for the sword to be released, he calls forth to it, and it'll, like, it's the coolest type of animation. Like recently, in the most recent episode of One Punch Man, spoilers.
Oh
when
yeah.
he punches
Elder Centipede?
Centauro.
It's called Elder Centipede.
Yeah, Elder Centipede.
Yeah.
It did something similar where like it'll like unravel
as it goes. But yeah, when he like pushes it against the ground like he's about to throw down, it just like the cane dissipates. It is the
coolest shit that ever happens in Bleach.
The look in your eye right now, it's the coolest shit. I love it. That's cool.
The head captain.
He's
did
dope.
him so dirty.
They did him pretty dirty. Yeah, they really, really did.
He is so cool.
Yeah.
And so unbelievably like strong and like astronomically powerful. They don't even ever test him. Nobody tests him. The first time they do, they kick his ass. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the point. And then the 1,000 Year Blood arc.
And you steal Ryujin Jaka, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, guy.
He tried. That he didn't, because he didn't know how it worked. That was the thing, and then he finally snatched it all. But that's getting into manga. We're getting real deep here. But yeah, I would argue that the concept of Zanpakuto, the fact that we can have so much conversation about it, I think as a whole speaks to the system that Kiba had put into his work. It's so diverse for bladed weapons that it just branches out in every direction. And power scaling aside, it's incredible to me.
What is so beautiful is that Kubo was able to do so many different.
What did I say, Kiba?
Yeah.
Is it Kubo? I'll call myself out now, because if I don't, Patrick will.
Dang. So
I promised him I wouldn't do that, but here we are.
Say, yeah.
He'll find out in September.
Yeah. This is going to air till September, and it's like July 1st when we first got yelled at for this.
It gives me enough time to get out of state.
Yeah. Get out of Dodge.
Get out of Dodge.
So, yeah, just for him to be able to put so much depth into so many different, like if you think about Zanpakutos as individual characters, he made 2 basically releases of every single character, because every character basically has a Zanpakuto in the show.
Right.
So it's like so much like information and like world building.
They all needed a lore.
Awesome.
They all needed a lore. They all needed something, because the way he described it was like you said, Zanpakutos is a manifestation of the methodology and the mentality of the person wielding it. So he needed to have that for everybody, and whether like a Bankai went against it or it went totally for it, it was it was very, very well in-depthly written. That's not a word, but here we are.
We're not linguistes.
But I'll make
that unbelievably
at some
clear.
point we'll stop saying it. You'll just realize we're just gonna make words up and you're just gonna let it happen. So any honorable mentions? You got it.
So I'm not even done with my full screen.
Well, then give it to me, dude.
So I loved the sacred treasures from 7 Deadly Sins.
Hell yeah. Do you have any favorite in particular?
Specifically, because there's actually quite a few I was not a fan of.
Okay.
For instance, anything related to Giant Girl, I hate.
Okay, let it be known that he is not Team Diane.
I hate
at
Diane.
all.
So there's 3 I think that I'm really like, I really love. So first off, Spirit Spear Chastiful.
What so versatile.
So cool.
So many forms. It's
like got 5 or 6 forms.
What's the one that's a massive sunflower? It's just like literally is a solar
like a laser.
beam.
It's a solar beam. You're right. So I absolutely love that. Like it's King from the 7 Deadly Sins weapon, and so he's like a fairy king, and he's able to like use this spear, and it'll like transform into like a big fuzzy bear to like protect him, like ultimate defense.
Oh, and he also just floats around on the damn thing. I love that.
Yeah.
He's just always
like a big old
hard chilling and just flies around.
He's like maxing and relaxing on this like floating pillow, which happens to be a spirit spear.
It's amazing to me.
Right. So that was sick. And then the 2 other really cool ones is Demon Sword Lost Vein. So that is Meliodas'.
Yeah.
And it allows him to basically make 5 copies of himself.
And it's because the boy's so overpowered that he can just split himself up and still be OP in every one of those splits. So
and
I love that.
And then my absolute favorite.
I think I know what you're going to say.
The Divine Axe Rita.
Yes!
My boy Escanor.
Who is the demon
Escanor.
that like Escanor, the sin of pride? Well, he tried to. Who is it? One of the demons tried to pick it up. It's like, this is way too short for a 2-handed axe. And he's like, because it's fucking not.
Yeah,
it's a one-handed boy, and I'm about to crush your face with it. I'm so happy that whole scene went down too.
Right. So what's cool about this? this axe is it actually is like where his focal point of his power.
It's like a conduit. It's
right.
Like,
so basically, it like causes a sun to be formed within the divine axe Rita, and then he like blasts it at whoever he's trying to kill.
He's so pompous.
He is like
I love him.
The dopest character, and we got to go in depth on him some other time.
Oh no, we can do 7 Deadly Sins breakdown, and I think we will do a deep dive.
Oh yeah,
soon.
we should do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like that's my favorite weapon from that entire show.
Hell yeah.
And so I think that's probably where I think some honorable mentions.
Yeah,
Gundam suits.
Gundam suits.
So
I know
sick.
we didn't mention anything about mechs, but mechs are pretty cool.
They're lit.
They're not my thing.
Evangelions.
There are some that definitely breach the. I'm not a big mech guy, but there are some mechs that are just undeniably amazing. Everything in Gurren Lagann is just incredible.
I don't like Gurren Lagann.
We just lost. No, we're hemorrhaging users. We're hemorrhaging listeners.
I'm just kidding. I love Gurren Lagann.
I'm gonna make you watch it. Pat just died. His eyes rolled in the back of his head.
Sorry, kids.
It's all right. We got our tastes, but I like is it Blood Battle Blood?
Ooh.
I know. Triple B is what we call it. Blood Battle Blockade?
Yes, Blockade.
Yeah, Blockade. Klaus's awesome cross, like brass knuckles.
Yes.
This is this dude that looks like a gorilla, dude. He's like this
He looks
hulking
like,
man.
Like, what is it? Beast from X-Men.
Yeah, minus the blue. He's got red
Yeah.
hair and everything. He's like standing at nearly 7 foot tall. The man is in like dressed head to toe in like a sweet suit. He's got like brass knuckles with red crosses on him, and he just crushes people with these things. I love his fighting style because it's fists on fists.
It's sick.
He goes ham on those, but they honestly just look cool. That's really it.
And they are.
And they are awesomely cool. Like, there's a moment.
Which is great because they are cool.
They are amazingly cool. There's a moment in their most recent season where he used like a technique called like unbraceable cross or something like that, and he literally just punched a massive cross that was literally on. There's a charging enemy, and it cut out a cross-shaped slice.
That's awesome.
Through the enemy, and the enemy went like 100 or 2 meters past everybody. Said, "Everyone, get in a straight line." Because they knew it was unbreakable if you stand right at the base of the cross. So it just ran through it, and it then had a giant cross-shaped hole, and all his minions threw up behind him. Just and they're just like, this is gross as shit.
Yeah.
and everyone's like, because they're covered in blood, and they're like, this is gross.
Yeah,
and he's
ew.
like, sorry, bro. Like, you're alive, but yeah, it was a super cool scene. But I'm trying to think of any other honorable mentions. I like Excalibur from Fate's Day, Unlimited Blade Works.
Oh, I thought you were saying Excalibur from Soul Reaper or Soul Eater.
No, I
Ooh!
think yeah, he's a shithead.
Yeah, he's annoying.
I like Excalibur from Fate's Day because I like how Saber keeps it hidden.
Right.
That's pretty dope. People can't see the length. People can't really discern what's hitting them where. And then when she whips it out, oh boy, Nelly, it's powerful. So. Let's see, other honorable mentions. In terms of destructive power, I like the satellite orbital launcher from Akira.
Dude, I was gonna say that.
It's this massive, like, literally precision and power, and
it's like a Star Wars laser.
It is a Star Wars laser, but it's like an atomic bomb, and it basically was the final act's like resolution. So in full disclosure, Eric was showing me a picture of food on Instagram, and I was like, oh, damn, that's really delicious, actually.
It looks good.
It looks damn good.
Hey, out of the blue, I like that shirt you're wearing there, Rick.
Oh, thank you.
It's pretty cool.
If you ever even looked at a YouTube channel and like tech, this is MKBHD, Marquez Brown Lee. This is his clothing line. It's super fresh, so clean.
It's a chevron.
It is a chevron.
I like
and
your
your
shirt
shirt
too
is
there,
literally
Rick.
just black, Eric.
No, it's not.
Yo, sorry. I guess don't tread on him.
I like your shirt too.
That's
man.
what I'm getting. It's
Grunt
good.
style.
I like it. It's Steelers colors that I like. It's black and yellow.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
But all right.
Stop.
Yeah. Final words. Weapons in anime be crazy. You got good weapons you want to like hit us up with?
Well, actually, one more honorable mention.
You got another honorable mention? Hit me.
From Kill la Kill, the
scissors?
Scissor sword.
Those things are dope.
So cool.
It's like one of the 48 or like what? No, it's like the relics or like sweet weapons or something. And I don't know. There's 48 of these crazy weapons, and they're like relics, and one of them is this crazy pair of scissors.
I don't recall. I watched this show like 10 years ago.
I don't know, dude. Like, I'm just...
But it was cool.
It was cool.
So that's my honorable mention.
Hell yeah. And I'm out of honorable mentions.
Since you were freaking begging for them.
I was. I'm thirsty for honorable mentions. Give me those
Kunai
mentions.
is really sick. I will say Asano's
Chakra blades?
chakra blades.
Those things are
kinda lit.
dope. Yeah, I like those. I like Hedon's sweet triple scythe. I got a scythe thing, I think.
Ooh, triple scythe.
Those triple scythe, because he just needed a drop of that blood to make everything work.
And then all the like puppet stuff.
Yeah,
was
you know
really
what?
Cool.
You know what? That's actually good. I didn't even think about that. That whole class of weapon, they're puppets, but
Yeah,
you can make
big
them
fan.
out of people, and you adopt all of the chakra natures
Third
and the
Kaze
techniques.
Kage.
Get that Iron Sand game going.
Popo.
I like third Hokage Popo. No, third Kazakago Popo.
Yeah, Popo.
Popo.
So yeah, that was cool, man.
Yeah, weapons.
Thank you so much, Jawaan.
Thank you, Jawaan. Weapons. They be crazy in anime. You got some anime recommendations? Find me, find Ethan, or give us a review on this episode and tell us other weapons we missed, and we might do a part 2 if you give us enough.
Yeah, you can. There'll be obviously a video of this up on YouTube if you want to throw those in the comments.
Yeah.
You know, if there's weapons we obviously missed, feel free.
Yeah. We'll do another one if we get enough. User suggested weapons. So I like that you talked about 7 deadly sins there at the very end, because
Yeah, it's quite the segue indeed.
I got a
It's almost like I'm a sanguisti.
Sanguisti. We're not linguistes, but we are sanguistes. So what of the 7 deadly sins, I think one of my favorites might be Bon.
Okay, so I'm just gonna break it down for y'all.
You're gonna break it
down?
down?
We're doing the second part of this episode is gonna be an over underrated.
A hard over under.
Underrated.
Over underrated.
Rap horns.
So we are doing the character Bon, the sin of greed.
The fox sin of greed.
Fox sin of greed from 7 deadly sins. Is he overrated? Is he underrated?
I am taking the overrated stance.
I am taking the underrated stance.
And I'm gonna let him go first.
I'm gonna wipe the floor with you.
Because
Don't say why. It's because
okay.
I'm right.
Yeah, alright, go ahead.
All right. So, Bon. Let's break him down. Let's first start with
You can't, he's invincible.
Well, yeah, you can't break the man down. Let's first talk about I'm gonna save immortality for the second part of my argument about why he's underrated. But his power set is probably one of the most perfectly tied to his backstory of any of the characters. The sin of greed. What he was doing in the first part of his life was he had a shit family life, but he met a demi-human kind of fox fella who took him in and taught him the ways of thievery. He was already kind of doing it, but he was doing it really bad. He was doing it really shittily. And the guy's like, he was snatching subparly. Snubpar snatching. And then the guy's like, hold on, I'm going to teach you how to do this right. So we learned the first real male father figure that was any kind of positive influence on him, taught him how to steal. And from that point, all of his...
Positive influence? Question mark?
Question mark. Put a pin in it. He was fed. He was read. I don't know.
Yeah, he taught him how to read.
He taught him how to read. He got him that sweet, sweet coinage. He got him this coin. Sweet, sweet coinage. So after that point, all of his spells are actually insanely potent. I mean, Hunter's Feast alone, that can basically up his power by a multitude, like an exponent higher. He does have a cap, but that cap is at some point like comparable to Meliodas because he was close but no cigar to Meliodas. And he basically, the one scene he was fighting 2 demons and used Hunter Feast, he basically knocked down, Holy Knight level people to the point where they couldn't fight. They didn't pass out, but birds and animals around him passed the fuck out.
Right.
That is a numbers game changer. You can take an army of plebs and a couple of strong people and take it from 200 down to like whoever's strong enough to still be standing. And then he gains all of that power and he was smacking demons. Smacking them. He also can stop time, 0 time, and he, to a demon who has 7 hearts and it's the only way to kill him is to take all 7 out, swiped 6 without any of the 10 commandments reacting to that. And why only 6? I don't know. I don't see why he couldn't have done 7, which is a surprise to me. But I watched that scene and I'm like, damn, he could have basically taken out a 10 commandment without a scratch. They would have been down to 9 without question. So not only can he steal power, he can stop time and go after targets without any kind of problem.
Stop time. The world.
But yeah, so he can basically stop time to steal what he wants. He can steal what he wants from a large range all at once, and he can use all of that power. And when he's getting beat on and makes contact with his opponent, he is slowly sapping power as well. So his whole strat is taking anyone that is much stronger than him and tipping the scales in his favor. His whole power set seems to be able to handle much stronger enemies, which only alludes to his OP kind of status. Now let's bring in immortality and what that really means. What that really means for him. First, obviously, he got not just his body cut in half, his head blown off, and his soul ripped out of his body. And he still survived all of that. He is truly unkillable. Now, y'all thinking, fucking obviously he's unkillable. But what? How does that? Yeah, he can go up against way stronger opponents, but he can't do anything to them. Okay. Now, we've learned in the lore of 7 Deadly Sins that the concept of infinite powers exists. Exhibit A, Merlin. Her magic power is infinity. Once casting any spell, the power to sustain it is literally 0 because her magical power is infinitely flowing. The concept of infinite potential exists. Infinite magic exists. So infinite growth must as well. You can get strong to a point of infinity. What do you need to do that if you want to train? Infinite amount of time. And who is the only person in the entire lore that has infinite time besides Merlin and Ban? Now, Ban is at a certain level, but if he were to go through a training arc of an infinite amount of time, he can get as infinitely strong as he can, as he wants to, really. And not to give any spoilers away, there is a flavor of the hyperbolic time chamber concept later in the story where he does something like this, where he has the opportunity to do something like this. I will not give any spoilers away, but this, what I'm talking about in concept, is put into practice, and the results are apparently absolutely apeshit. So, we have a man who may be strong enough to arm wrestle against Meliodas casually and knock down an entire fortress doing it. He also has the one thing most other characters in the entire lore, even demons, don't have, and that's infinite amount of time.
Somebody to love.
Somebody to love. He also has that as well, and he max on the lolly that makes Patrick quake.
Squirm.
Squirm when we talk about the fairy queen.
That's our Shikai release.
That's our...
Squirm.
Squirm Patrino. That poor boy. He'll never watch this show because Bond made out with a 7,000-year-old fairy queen that looks like she's 7. Whatever, man. You like that, Eric? But yeah, so in summation, why do I think he's underrated? I think when it comes to his spell set, when it comes to who he is as a fighter, it is the best written in terms of linking to his past and his particular sin. He basically has the potential to infinity because he has the one thing that requires for any shonen protagonist that they need is time to train. So they have a maximum of infinity to get him as infinitely strong as the writer wants. As a character, he actually is, much more complex in a lot of ways than I think most are, maybe bar Meliodas. And he has probably the best fleshed out backstory. And yet, despite all the tragedy he's gone through, he seems very jovial when he is with 7 Deadly Sins. I don't know. I think in terms of writing, in terms of fighting, in terms of potential growth, Ban is tops and underrated because of it.
He just stared me dead in the eye. And he's like, so what? You just got served.
And that's the tea, sis.
So, I guess there's a lot of points you made that I would like to get to at some point. So basically, my summation of why he's overrated will come, I guess, partially from things you've said. You tried to twist him in an underrated version, and I'm gonna do the opposite.
That's the whole point of the game,
yeah,
baby.
So actually, in our previous segment of over underrated, we talked about Kisuke Urahara, who has the Bankai that allows him to basically outlast any damage.
Okay.
But he can't do damage. And I think this is very interesting to me because that is a very similar situation that Bond finds himself in against some of the, higher level demons of the Ten Commandments. You see him get pissed off when Meliodas gets stabbed and try to attack them and rip out hearts and shit. But he gets absolutely decked because he can't do any damage. So I'd say we have also previously talked about the 7 deadly sins in terms of like a power scaling disaster, or if it is or isn't.
Right.
And we previously said we didn't think it was. But I'm kind of rethinking that because what I noticed basically in the first kind of season, we're dealing with these holy knights, and we're kind of like, as the 7 deadly sins friends and fans, we're noticing them kind of struggle against all these knights, these holy knights.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to season 2, and the 10 Commandments come about. And now the holy knights are like fodder, like complete fodder compared to everyone else.
They do get smacked, yes.
So Bond is completely unsuccessful against basically anyone of any real substance throughout various points in the series. He fails to kill the red demon that kills his beloved Elaine. Now, he's invincible at this point, and he's got his little Bandersnatch skills.
That sweet Bandersnatch.
Right, so he could demon hunt or whatever it is, hunter's mark or whatever, and he could have,
Was Hunter's Mark's a D&D skill? It's a
no
Ranger
idea.
D&D specific skill. I'm really showing my nerd hand
What
right
a
now.
nerd! Oh my god! I didn't know that.
Continue.
Anyhow,
That one's for you, Pet Butt.
I guess that is kind of my main problem. Is he has a problem with like closing out enemies and finishing enemies. It's kind of like he almost to me is more like the pride sin. Like for instance, the pride that he exhibits of like thinking he's killed him or like almost beat him or whatever, and then proceeds to get mollywopped, is more of a problem for me than like Escanor being prideful and just absolutely wrecking people.
Right.
So it's like it's a weird little thing because I feel like in a lot of ways he's obviously greedy. He exhibits greed, but he also exhibits a shizload of pride. So basically, my problem with him is he has immortality, but is unable to really leverage that in any real way to actually make a big impact on some of the major, villains they face. If you rewatch season 2, any of the 10 Commandments that die are from Escanor, Merlin, or Meliodas. The rest of them do absolutely jack shit. Now, here's a couple other things, and it's more about his personality. Number 1, he'll like constantly get all depressed and losery. He gets somehow captured by lowly holy knights and thrown in prison for like 80 years because Meliodas he thinks is dead. And he doesn't decide to break out until he hears that Meliodas is still alive. Then he proceeds to come back to Meliodas and backstab him for a chance at bringing Elaine back. But he knows that there's all these demons and like creepy a-holes out there trying to resurrect the demon race. So getting easily like mind effed into almost resurrecting demons to me is like a really big miss, like for his character. So, he's obviously highly rated as one of the 7 deadly sins. He's highly rated as an immortal Bond. And he's also, got all these like, sacred treasures, which don't do jack. His like four his staff is like 4 I don't know what it's called. It's like a
It's like
disjointed.
the crazy. It's like a staff turned like a really heavy like nunchuck staff kind of thing.
Yeah, like the 4 chain staff thing. I forget what it's called. There's like an actual word for
Badass
it.
as fuck when he uses it though.
I mean, it's cool, but he doesn't do anything with it.
That's true.
And then, I don't know, just like as a character, I think he leaves a lot to be desired. And, you're told at the beginning of the series that these guys have been through like hell and high water together, all the 7 deadly sins. And he turns on his boy for a little 7-year-old, 6,000-year-old fairy girl.
6,007.
Yeah. So, to me, he's just a very overrated character. And I think, if he would close out any of these fights, he's never even like really steps to Meliodas in any real way. Like they do play fights and even some real fights where he tries to betray Meliodas. He waits till he's like super hurt before he goes after him. And he can never pull the trig. Just like you said, he takes out 6 of the 7 hearts and just lets them live. Unnecessary.
So we'll take our rebuttal turns. I think one of the big ones you mentioned was the fact that he seemed to get all depressy and stuff like that. You got to put it in the context of what he's gone through, and that up to that point, he thinks he's for sure lost his lover, the person he's loved. He's lost his best friend. He's got a lot of psychological pain, and you can tell that when he's tortured as shit, he's like kind of digging it because he's like, yeah, he's basically a masochist at that point. He's like, fuck, I'm hurting mentally. Let's just get like ripped apart in prison for a while.
Because he's a dumb idiot and he decided to get immortal.
But that's what I'm saying.
Not realizing that once you're immortal, nothing matters anymore.
It isn't not like he doesn't feel the pain. He even mentions before, like, I still feel it, but it's clear. To me, it's just pain. It's just pain. It's not a signal for something bad, like I'm gonna die. It's just, oh shit, it's pain. Haha. He still feels something. It's kind of the max point of depression where he's like, everything fucking sucks. Let's go get tortured in prison.
I'll be real with you. I think he flew too close to the sun, Rick.
You think so?
And now he got burnt.
Think he got burnt?
He got burnt.
He didn't. He got a little turned, but he got mostly burnt.
Guess what? His little previously immortal side piece is dead now.
Yeah.
So now he's immortal, and she gone.
She gone now.
So guess what? There ain't no reason to be immortal no more.
Right. So that's why he's saying. That's why he's like, fuck it. I might as well be in prison. If there's no reason to be immortal anymore, I might as well sit in a box for a while. It doesn't matter if it's 80 or 800 years. There's no reason to be out now. So in terms of being kind of a flat character, I think...
Overrated.
I don't think he's overrated, man. I think he's like... I think he's just hurting in his own way. He was written kind of as an emo, for sure. An emo who just couldn't... He's got a little bit of a suicide fantasy for that kind of fan base. Just kind of like torture fantasy for that kind of fan base. But...
ReZero-esque.
So I mean, honestly, yeah, he feels very like. It's funny too because Nuxtaku said it best, where it was like when he's
using my friend against me.
I am, yeah, that's top 10 anime betrayals. But one of the big things about his, like the way, like when he's a clear head and he's actually a little more happy with Meliodas, or like he knows like. His main squeeze is kind of alive-ish, He's like way stronger. Like he does that 0 time when he realizes that he's like good to go. Like he's got his buddy back, they reconciled, and the reason why he left the 7 deadly sins in the beginning of season 2 was because he realized that betraying his friend was the wrong way to get Elaine back. He realized that getting Elaine back by killing Meliodas was the wrong way to do it, which is why he set out to the capital of the dead. Which is why he set out to go find another way to resurrect Elaine. That's why he went with Jericho to go out, because he realized, oh, I'm not going to make actually do the deal with this goddess horn thing. You're good, but I just got to bounce. Like, I need to reconcile. He pulled a Sasuke. He split from what they wanted him to stay, but he bounced. And the other one, I mean...
He did pull a Sasuke.
He did kind of pull a Sasuke. And I'll admit, it's very moody. It's very kind of meh. But, I mean, he had, I think, a better reason than Sasuke did. Like, oh, atonement. Like, no, dude, you're atoned. Like, you're good. Like, everyone's like, you don't have to be going doing this. And he's like, no, I must. Take at least an arm, dude. No, I don't need an arm. I I don't need Hashirama cells.
Oh,
but
I always thought you were talking about Bond. And
no,
I'm
no,
like,
sorry.
What are you talking about?
When it comes to Sasuke, he did it more moody. It felt like when Bond did it, it had a little more purpose driven. He was going out, clear mission.
He also did some bad shit, like
full eyes, clear hearts, can't lose. He's out. He's going to do it. Dare I say, he was deep in the cut.
No.
No, but the other thing too is like,
guys at home, guys and gals, I'm trying to get him to stop.
He hates when I say that. Deep in the cut just means it may be.
What
gang
are we
shit.
in Atlanta?
Well, close. We're close to Hotlanta.
Yeah, we're in South Central LA.
Hey, if you want me to stop,
in the cut.
If you want me to stop saying it, rate 5 stars.
Yeah, rate 5 stars and tell them, hey,
start a GoFundMe.
So I'll stop saying. That says, love the show. Ethan's hilarious, but Ricky really needs to stop saying in the cut.
Well, don't ask for miracles, Ethan. They're not going to say that shit. You know they're not going to say it. But the other thing too is I think you have a valid point with him not being. He's not a good closer. He's a hell of an opener. Because in fights, like, someone tries to one-shot him, and he's like, nah, bro, like, that's the one thing you can't do is one-shot me. But he can't close. He can't shut it down in most cases. Why I'm saying he's underrated is because it might be the same case I had with the overrated with, it's funny, because with the Kisuke Urahara thing, is that if he knew an impending threat were to be, in 1,000 years, this enemy will reawaken, oh, I'm good, bro. I'll see you in 1,000 years. I'll train the whole time. I have a millennia of training. That's the kind of prep time he can have. With, like, Kisuke, it's like, oh, yeah, I need a lot of prep time to do something that may or may not be successful, but there is hardcore battle training he can do for 1,000 years in a universe with the mechanics of infinity as a power scale. That's something that can happen. Merlin's got infinity magic, always flowing. So we know he doesn't have a necessary magical ceiling.
Here's a problem. I don't necessarily see his magical ability as the same thing as, we talk about infinity, and you've got, Escanor, Merlin, and Meliodas obviously verging on infinity quite a few times, where you can see their battle skill or whatever score increasing throughout battles, where
right,
because Gother can see that, and so can Elizabeth sometimes can see that. No, Piggy,
and the what is it, the Knight of Scraps?
Yeah, the Scrap Patrol.
Scrap Patrol.
He can see battle potential, right? But to me, Bond's not, his magic is not like something that seems like it can be trained quite as much as like Escanor. Obviously, when he envelops the sun, his battle skill and magic level
like exponential. Like his power between 11:45 and 11:55 is like a minuscule increase from 11:55 to noon.
Right.
Like noon is like potentially an infinite amount of magic power. Like they couldn't scale that.
Right, but what I'm saying is it does not feel the same way in terms of like how Bond is drawing upon his power. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just the way that I felt throughout the series. But, like, obviously he can train and he can get stronger, but it doesn't feel like it feels like he has a cap that is not infinity. Whereas Merlin, Escanor and Meliodas do not feel like they have that cap.
Right.
Maybe that's just me.
But I think it's a good enough argument. I mean, I think it's clear that I had just,
slaughterhoused me.
Slaughterhoused you a little bit, but I gave you the chance. I think you honestly put a good. You reamed him. Well, I reamed it a little bit, but I think you actually came up with a pretty good set of arguments.
Here's what I'll tell y'all at home,
because
that was all off the cuff.
That was a lot of that was off the cuff, dude. Like we had a talk before, and Ethan was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. So what are our thoughts on Bond, just in general?
Oh, I love Bond.
Bond's great.
He's awesome.
He's so cool. Because I think
James Bond.
But you had a really, I honestly didn't expect that point of, oh damn, like he may have infinite potential. But in the moment, in the fight that matters right now, he doesn't seem to be a good closer against the Ten Commandments at all. Maybe the low level was at Galland, Galland the Truthful. Was like that one he maybe could smack around a good bit.
I don't agree. I think when they showed up, they were waxing everyone we thought was a badass.
And the thing is,
even Meliodas, they shit all over him.
Yeah. Well,
like because they were ganging up on him.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like
If
like
it
the
were
rest of the 7 deadly sins looked like little peons compared to any of the 10 commandments.
I think a one-on-one match with Galen the Truthful and Bond might be a really close fight. Because I think he can steal a lot more than... He has a cap now. He has a cap that makes him comparable. Remember when he was actually fighting for real against Meliodas to betray him? He was stealing, but he did have a cap on how much he could store when he stole. So I think with training, that limit can be increased. But I think because in my research, I was like, oh, damn. Think of an infinite amount of time training arc. How powerful can you be when an infinite... It's not necessarily he can become infinite, but the possibility of an infinite magical power does exist in this world.
I think even in season 2, he had the potential of doing that, like training, and he ended up only staying for a small period of time.
That's the kind of thing that he's a mixed up guy mentally and emotionally in season 2.
Yeah, he's a little weeb.
He's a little weeb.
No, he's not a weeb.
He's got to get his loli game on. He knows Elaine's got to be back. And he actually seduced her out of darkness so they can mac once again in front of Jericho and just totally scoop her expectations. It was bad.
Yep.
But yeah. Hey, Patrick, watch the show.
Yeah, no, hey,
Shout out to Quick Dirty P over there. How you doing, buddy?
we really enjoy Bond. I think he's like the coolest character design.
Oh, dude, he's also Twitter. He's like Tumblr bait, dude. The lady fans go ham on Bond.
He's cool.
Oh, Eric, don't you? He's a fine fox.
Nice, fox and fruit. It's green.
But yeah, hey guys, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We really would appreciate a review on iTunes, preferably a word review, in order for more people to come into our fan base and possibly enjoy what we have to say.
Don't get it twisted. We'll always take a 5 stars. Eric over here actually shakes the excess 5 stars we got into his protein shakes. Thank you, Eric, for showing up for this live audience view.
Shouts to our boy.
That was a good come up.
So
5 stars is what actually gets Eric his gains. So he'll mix it in with his protein. So please help this boy get his gains. It isn't for us anymore. We're doing this charity work. This episode is a charity work for Get Eric His Gains Foundation. For just 5 stars a day, you too can get this man the gains he so desperately needs.
Yes, but if you like this podcast, we're syndicated on all podcasting platforms.
Pretty much everything.
Specifically Apple, Google Podcast, Stitcher,
Spotify,
and YouTube.
Yep.
If you got any, I guess comments for us, you can go on there and leave us a comment on this episode and tell us weapons we missed.
Yeah.
Or if you think Bond is over or underrated.
Yeah, let us know, because we'd like to hear your take on it, because I think he's I think he's always seen as either rated or underrated where he's at, but I'd like to see someone's case for overrated.
Totally agree.
Yeah, Ethan might be like, oh shit, I might have said that. I wish I would have said that.
Guys, I off the cuff.
It was really impressive. You did a really good job off the cuff. I have to admit that.
So I don't think it was quite the landslide victory he claims, but it's okay.
Says someone who just got landslowed. So,
yeah, true.
Landslid. So I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And this has been Weebology. You got learned, you got turned, and burnt. It's safe to say that Ethan got burned.
Ow.
Peace.
Peace.
Deuces.
Deuces.